This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Well, Hunter Yurachek is phoned in this morning, the athletics director at the University of Arkansas. Hunter, I know you've got a busy weekend ahead, so I appreciate you making some time for us. I want you to take us back to how this idea initially got started, the Woo Pig weekend. You've got baseball, you've got softball, you've got football. What went into all of this as an athletics department?
Well, I guess you could say guys have fortunate scheduling. First of all, good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. But I would say fortunate scheduling where we already had baseball and softball, tennis on the schedule, and then Coach Pittman has the spring schedule lined up. The spring football game fell on this weekend. Just kind of a natural to have this Woo Pig weekend with a big, baseball series. We've got a non-conference softball series. We have two men's tennis matches. We've got a spring volleyball match tonight, of course, tomorrow's spring football game.
And I'm sure you talk to fans on a daily basis, the ones that not only live in state but out of state. Do you get a sense that this is a homecoming of sorts in the spring? Have you gotten that sense from fans, Hunter?
For sure. I mean, we have our A-Club events all weekend. There's the Alumni Association is having a Black Alumni Association weekend as well, and all the events are surrounding that. So very much with all the events that are already scheduled athletically on campus, many entities within the athletic program, outside the athletic program, but within the university plan corresponding events for this weekend as well.
You mentioned...
Hey, Hunter, this is Chuck. You said something there about Letterman, and I want to come back to that. That's one of the things that kind of gets lost in this. And you talked about I know the Letterman are having some stuff going on tonight. This is an opportunity to reconnect with some of your former players, and I know Coach Pittman's talked a lot about that. I just wonder how that fits into all this weekend too.
Yeah, absolutely. The history of our Razorback athletic program is very important to us. Coach Pittman has recognized the history of our football program. He has welcomed our former players back to spring practices and for this weekend for a golf tournament today, a little event tonight, coming out to the spring game tomorrow, a barbecue following the spring game, engagement with himself and some of our players. And, we've got such a rich history of athletic success. We want to continue to embrace that rich history and the student athletes that laid that foundation for where we are today.
You've been a very hands-on athletic director. You at a lot of practices. We see you visibly at a lot of games. Have you watched much practice this year? And what is it about being kind of inside the gates and having that front row seat as the AD that why is that so enjoyable for you?
Well, I would say going to practices, going to games for me is the icing on the cake. It's an opportunity for me to see our student athletes doing what they love, working on their craft, spending some time with them, especially during spring practice. It's fun to go out. The guys are a little bit more relaxed when they're on the sidelines, not necessarily engaged in what's going on in the field. I have an opportunity to interact with them, and so that's the fun part of it. Just it helps me build relationships with student athletes and helps them understand how much I support them, not just football, basketball, baseball, but I enjoy going out to softball, tennis, golf. Even make my way out occasionally to the cross-country track if we've got a cross-country track place if we've got to meet out there. But it's been fun. I've gotten to go to a few football practices this spring. Really love the energy. Obviously, we had some staff transition during the offseason, lost some great coaches, and I think we've replaced them with great coaches as well. And I just love the energy and just the vibe around spring practice this year. I think we have an opportunity in the fall, if we can stay healthy, to be what I will call sneaky good.
Hunter, I wonder about, you were talking about Coach Pittman and the new coaches there and the new faces, and we see this in other sports too. We're watching Muss right now kind of reassemble his basketball team. You've obviously got intimate knowledge of the plan, and I just wonder as an administrator, when you watch that plan unfold, when you know what Muss's vision is for what his basketball team is going to look like. You knew what Coach Pittman wanted to do with his football program the minute they got back from Missouri last year. And I just wonder, as an AD, you know, as you watch this unfold, does that have a lot to do with maybe your opinion of a coach or the health of a program, or, you know, whether or not everything's headed in the right direction?
Well, Chuck, absolutely, Win. You know, I'll start with Coach Pittman and the staff vacancies we had and the number of people that he had a plan, but the number of people within that plan and outside of that plan that reached out to him that wanted to be a part of his football program. And I think you're seeing that each spring play out with Coach Musselman and the number of transfer student athletes that, after they meet with Coach Musselman, meet with our staff, get to see our facilities and our campus and our community, that want to be a part of the Razorback men's basketball program. So I think it's very exciting to see that outside of Northwest Arkansas, outside of our campus, how many people are noticing the special things that are happening within the athletic program, within our university, and within this Northwest Arkansas community, and want to be a part of it.
Hunter Yurachek with us, Director of Athletics at the University of Arkansas. Now, Hunter, I know that we've spoken pretty obviously about football, baseball, and softball. You mentioned some of the other sports that are going on campus this weekend, but you did mention golf. Is that going to get included in your itinerary? What's your handicap? Are you going to be able to squeeze that in this weekend?
There will be no golf played by Hunter Yurachek this weekend. The women are at the SEC Championships currently. The men will leave next week. There is that A-Club golf tournament. My son's coming back to play in that, but I will not be partaking in that. And it's probably a good thing. I'm not sure when the last time I picked up a club, my golf game wasn't very sharp. The last time I did, it's surely not going to be very sharp today.
I got a lot of handicaps of mine. They're in my bag, the driver, the putter, the wedge, but that's another conversation.
Yeah,
but
I'm with you.
Yeah. Hey, we got a lot of people listening and that are supporters of the program financially and buy tickets and are members of the Razorback Foundation. I want to ask you a question there because there's a transition in leadership that's coming, that's underway right now with the foundation. And what can fans expect? What might be different as some changes are happening as Scott Verity transitions to another role with the university? He's been on campus for a long time. What might be different moving forward with the foundation and the fan interaction, the season ticket holder interaction down the road?
Well, I can't tell you what might be different, but I will tell you that the transition will go smoothly. Scott has done an incredible job kind of reinventing what the Razorback Foundation is, and obviously they work with their annual fund that supports our scholarships, but also have gotten engaged in major gift fundraising for capital projects. The One Arkansas NIL that's now under the Razorback Foundation. So what the Razorback Foundation was and what it is today has evolved under Scott Verity, and kudos to him and the team he's put together. Billy Vito is going to step in on an interim basis, and I don't think our fans will see any different. She will do a great job in that, and then the board and I will work together on a national search that will include some internal candidates that are very qualified. But we're going to cast our net wide. And what I said earlier, because of the success of our athletic program, I think we will get great interest in who wants to be the next executive director of the Razorback Foundation. And, we're on the horizon of a major capital campaign to help us do a major renovation to Walton Arena, as well as additions at our soccer and softball stadium. So it's a very important time to make sure that we hire the right person to come in and be the next leader of that Razorback Foundation entity.
I'm glad you brought up Bud Walton because I wanted to make sure we asked you about that because that's on a lot of fans' minds and a lot of people got opinions and thoughts. So can you give us some insight to maybe what's your vision of a renovated Bud Walton Arena?
Well, first, just where we are in the process is that we just closed the applications for architects and general contractors, and we will interview those constituencies the first week of May and hopefully have a decision that we'll take forward to the board with recommendations for an architect and a general contractor sometime this summer. But, the vision, as I share with the board, is we have roughly $40 to $45 million just in general deferred maintenance that we need to do to that facility. But also a 30-year-old facility. It served us well, but right now it lacks the premium amenities that we need with some club seating, renovated suites, some courtside club areas, as well as just some new seats and things of that nature to freshen it up and better enhance our fan experience. And so we just need to really freshen up Walton Arena, and also to provide us with some new revenue streams through some additional premium seatings that aren't available in that facility right now.
As you've traveled around postseason, some of the NBA venues, where are you gathering ideas that you'd like to maybe make happen at Bud Walton?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got to go to a great facility out in Las Vegas, and that facility is built in the last decade. It's got great premium amenities. They've got somewhat I would call our bunker suites that are kind of burrowed in under your seats on one side, and then they have kind of their own concourse that goes out to some club seats. It's a very neat concept that has become very popular in professional arenas and newer collegiate venues as well. And so that's a concept that we saw last year out in San Francisco at Golden State's Arena, and we also saw in Las Vegas. And you talk to the end users there, and they love that amenity, and I think it's an amenity that we'd like to bring to Bud Walton as well.
Hunter, you brought up the different changes that are going on, and I could be wrong on this, so forgive my ignorance, but the potential changes would come from removal of seating, if I'm understanding that correctly. How do you navigate kind of changing things up? And because I would guess there would be some pushback. How do you go about doing that by possibly removing seats in Bud Walton Arena for club seating and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, we have an incredible fan base, and we have sold out Bud Walton Arena for the last 2 seasons on season tickets, and we were close to selling out. Our football stadium sold out Baum Walker, but one of the things that we have found in Bud Walton is why we have sold that out on season tickets is the game-by-game yield, meaning the number of tickets that are used on a game-by-game basis falls far below the 19,000 seats or so that we have in that venue. So we feel like that we can decrease the seats by a minimal level and really not exclude the fans that are going to actually be in attendance at the majority of our games, just not the Kentucky game or the Tennessee game, etc. And so we think we have some wiggle room with the seating, but the one thing we want to make sure that we get right is that remains an incredible home court advantage for our men's and women's basketball teams, as well as our gymnastics team, which we foresee transition into a renovated Bud Walton Arena as well.
I'm sure it does your heart good as an athletics director, driving into work early Thursday morning and Friday and seeing fans already line outside of Baum Walker Stadium getting ready for a series that begins on Friday. I remember you walking off the field at Chapel Hill after that Brady Slavens hit last year and just talking with Dave. You guys have a good relationship. He hasn't alerted you that he's retiring anytime soon. I mean, I think a lot of Arkansas fans like where the program's at right now.
I think Dave's got a lot of energy and a lot of passion for coaching the sport of baseball and being the skipper at the University of Arkansas for a baseball program. In the last year or two, he signed a new contract that virtually was a 10-year contract. It's a 5-year contract with 5 rollover years, and then Kiefer sees himself coaching another 8 to 10 years as long as his energy level stays brisk. So I don't foresee Dave Van Horn going anywhere. And it's a pretty unique situation when you think about that between Norm DeBryan and Dave Van Horn, we've only had 2 baseball coaches for the better part of a half a century here at the University of Arkansas.
Well, Hunter, I know you got a lot of events to get to today, tomorrow, and Sunday, so we'll let you go. We appreciate you making some time for us here on the Morning Rush, and enjoy a Woo Pig weekend.
All right, Tommy, Ty, Chuck, thank you guys for your support, and go Hogs.
Get analysis of every play, prop, and point at BetOnline. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to sign up and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV. BetOnline.ag, where the game starts.